You would think all I do is work on this truck, but I do actually have customers that come in and out. I've got a few days before I get a customer that's coming back for just some continuous work. So I wanted to get this in here. There's a little car show coming up this coming weekend. So it's Tuesday. It's coming up this Saturday. And I really want to get this thing to it. It's only a few miles from my house. I'm still going to have to haul it with the tow pig, unfortunately, because just there's so many things that aren't ready. Front end wise, suspension wise, this thing is just scary to drive down the road. But the battery box is atrocious. I hate this battery situation. And then there's also the bed floor that I would really love to try and do something with. So those two are going to be my main focus for the next day or so. And we're going to see what we can do. I'm not going to go over the top crazy, but I would like to just make a nice panel that covers that. Battery box, I'm going to make smaller. I'm going to make sure it still fits a large battery, like one of these. I'm going to use one of these big old giant boat batteries to form the box around. That way no matter what, wherever I am, if I got to buy a battery, there's room in the box. So that's what I'm going to work on. But like I said, for some reason, I got no starter button. I was hit like the ground was, or like it wasn't grounded. So gonna work on that. Hopefully I make some good progress and I actually build a nice box. We're gonna see how it goes. I mean, should go well. I've been dreading building this battery box for, I don't know, a couple months since I got the truck on the road. Actually, I built the box before I even got the truck running. There was still a bunch to do, and I built that little janky box, and it just kind of worked. It's obviously set outside and filled with water and rusted and all that crap. And the battery cables, I'm not crazy happy with those. I did, however, pick up a complete painless harness. I got tools in here from working on it. I did, however, pick up a complete painless harness for this. So I'm going to be putting in an actual harness. That's everything. That's headlights, turn signals, tail lights, brake lights, all the electrical, ignition, charging, everything. So I'm going to be redoing some of that, because right now I've just got the alternator coming all the way back to the battery. And then there's a ground that I think I've got tied into my fuel pump. But either way, it's not like a cobbled mess, but I would love for it to be better. So gonna be just, I don't have the cash right now to buy the like $50 a piece bulkhead connectors that I'm gonna put in the side of the box. And I'm also not sure on it yet either. So I'm just gonna poke two little holes in the box to run the cables through and attach them to the battery for now. And that should suffice. Probably should work on this first. I hate it so much that it's probably what I should do first, if I'm being totally honest. So that's probably what I'm going to focus on. So tag along and I'll show you whether I build another box that I hate or I build a box that I actually like. So originally this is the battery box that I had built, and it was going well for a while until I'd gotten a good little way through it and I realized I wasn't happy with it. So ultimately, I ended up just finishing it so that I'd have one. And like I said, I never painted it or primered it, so it's crusted and rusted all the way up. Now, obviously, it's quite large because I thought, well, I can put a couple of ratchet straps in there, or a little toolkit or whatever. I'm no longer worried about that. I've got plenty of room behind the seat. I'll put stuff behind the seat if I need it. So the battery that I use for the truck most of the time is over there. It's not a very large battery, but it works pretty good. I'm going to use this larger battery to do my mock-up. That way, like I said, if I'm ever at a parts store or I'm out on the road or something like that, and something happens and I don't get stranded because they don't have a battery that can't fit in the truck. I also need to think about in the future which side the terminals are going to be on, and making sure that I can accommodate for that on the inside as well. So that's something else I want. I don't want this big hole in the side of the box where the cables just kind of run through and, are just draped over the framer. I'm not a fan of all that. It was just, hey, I want to drive this truck. So, in the new box, I'm thinking the bulkhead will go, you know, one will go there, one will go there, and then there will be short battery cables on the inside. That is the plan. I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to try to draw some stuff up, come up with something that I like. I mean, the ideal was okay. You know, I've got a smaller base that I made, and then I made the four corners, and then I made small pieces to weld into the four corners to strengthen it. I did not like the top plate or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, that I made, and I just wasn't a huge fan of that. If it had a lid on it, it wouldn't have been so bad looking, I don't think, but I had to make it to fit. Not a huge fan of it, so I also had to make it, you know, take up the gap of these top four pieces. So top of these four pieces. So yeah, like I said, just all kind of crude. I mean, it was a good idea. It just, I didn't execute it the way I should have, but hindsight. So I'm going to work on using this battery for size, and then I'm also going to be taking some measurements from the truck, kind of going back and forth. Probably end up just setting this battery over here on the sheet metal, making sure I have enough room for an eyelet hold down or something like that, either side to side or front to back, wherever, so the battery's not moving all around. So yeah, we'll see what I can come up with here. So I have got scribed out here a couple of lines. Let's see here. I think I went up to right there. Yep. So I got 10 3/4 by 18. That is going to shorten the box pretty significantly. Should bring it over to about here or so. I want to say, let's see here. About there. So, yep, going to shorten it pretty significantly. Still want to have room for a big battery. We're also going to decrease the depth a little bit, just a couple, maybe 2 inches or so. We'll see. But I made it a little bit larger. It's actually only going to be 16 by 8 3/4, but I wanted to have room for my 1-inch lip all the way around the edge like this, so I've got something to bend in the brake. So I got the base made, the tray, I guess you could call it. And if this was all I was making, I'd probably be in pretty good shape. I got this part down pat. It's the finishing it that's the hard part. So this is the base. I got about 2 inches on each side, like I was liking. It's, like I said, significantly smaller than the other one, which I also am liking. So now I kind of need to decide how I want to do the rest of this. I considered cutting one long piece and breaking it so that it just had like one seam, but I'm not sure if I want to attempt that. At the same time, it's a lot of cutting to cut out 4 individual pieces, but they're not going to be crazy. I should be able to get them out of the, I just like, this is the last factory edge that I have, so I like to be able to stick to that. Although my cut marks are they're pretty straight along this bottom edge. So I always leave just a little bit that I can put in the shear and true it up. But yeah, now I'm just going to decide on the height, what I want. That's a pretty tall battery as well. I don't think the other one's any taller, but I'm going to measure it before. And then I'll also kind of figure out what I want to do for a lid. So kind of multiple things I need to sort of address. But yeah, going well so far. So this is what we got so far. Just mocked up with some magnets. Pretty clean so far. I'm going to have to go back and level. I've got these two, I believe, that are the same. And I think this one here might actually be, I got to do a little bit of squaring, I think, is what I'm going to have to do. Because I think this one's a little taller on this corner. This one just needs to come down in general just a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. So yeah, much better already than Krusty the Clown over there. Be a lot neater. I think I'm going to do all the welding on the inside. So I'm going to put all the holes in these panels. and then do it all, clamp it out here, and then do all the welding on the inside that way. Probably going to weld up these corners and then grind them smooth. I may even go back once it's all said and done and put a bead of seam sealer all the way around the inside of the box and then paint the whole box. And then the lid is going to set down in it, but I'm not sure how I want to do the lid just yet. For the lid to set in it, it would need a lip for it to set on. And then obviously it would also need a way to attach the lid, and I have not yet decided whether I want the lid to, I think I want the lid to be flat, and then I might put the little lip on the lid, that way it slides down in there and covers the cut of the bed. I would rather it cover the cut of the bed and just lay flat. I think that would look a lot better and a lot nicer. So we will see about that. We'll see what I do for that. But I'm going to make all the little corner brackets to go in here, all the little braces. The box actually ends up pretty darn strong once it's all said and done. It's only 20 gauge, but by the time you fold it in the bottom and weld that brace into all the corners and stuff, it ends up pretty tough. So I can't, I don't think it's going to be too bad. I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to break or anything. I've kind of got an idea as to how I want to fasten it to the bed, and I'm actually going to do it a little different than I would have originally done it. Just something kind of unique, I guess. We'll see. But I kind of don't want there'll be bolts showing, but you'll see. I'll show you once I get going. But yeah, not bad. I don't know that it'll be NHRA legal by any means, but it'll be strong and it'll be hidden under the bed nicely. So I'll be happy. And it'll be a lot nicer and painted and nicer. So for the inside braces, I went ahead and I took my scribe here. I got 1-inch marks on each end. Those are for the break marks. And then I've got full scribe marks. Those are where I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cut into 4 pieces. Then I'm going to stick them in the break. And I'm going to break them all into 90s. And then I'll have the pieces I need for each corner. Well, there it is. I am going to mount some L-shaped pieces along the side. I'm going to weld them along the side so that it comes up through the bed floor. I'm going to go about 3/4 of an inch up through the bed floor so that the lid can go on. Rolled a couple of beads in the lid, and I got to work on that re-entry. That's where I get myself messed up. Is I can do fine, come back around to meet up with the other bead, and I just don't quite get that down right. But I'm going to try to massage it a little bit so that it looks good. But that is the new battery box to replace that thing. So much better. Turned out a lot neater, a lot tighter, a lot square. So got to weld on some little brackets. I'm going to raise it up through the bed floor in the bottom, drill down through. I'm going to put some crimp in insert on this so that just a couple of screws will go down through the top and hold it in. And the reason I'm bringing it up through the bed floor, for one, so that I can get the lid on, and for two, I wanted the lid to go down over the box instead of down in the box, because if it went down in the box, it would have filled up with water. So I put it over the box, and by sticking up a little bit, it's also less likely to collect water from water setting in the bed. So that is the reason I'm doing it that way. So, got all the mounting flanges welded on, spot welded on from underneath. Got to go back and drill the holes and then crimp in the inserts. What I'm going to do is get the lid holes drilled, and then I will go ahead and crimp the inserts into the piece I welded in underneath. Then I can get a couple of screws put into this, and then I will go through I'm going to jack this up in, because this goes in from the bottom. I'm going to pull the lid off, jack this up into the truck, and then I'm going to go through and drill the holes, and then I'll pull this back out. I'll drill these out bigger, crimp in the insert that goes in them, and should be happy with that. Went ahead and got a couple crimp in inserts crimped into the piece I added in the bottom. Holds the lid nice and tight, nice and flat. Some stainless head, Allen heads. I think that's going to look pretty good poking up through the bed floor. And I'll do a couple other little stainless ones holding it in. I don't think I'm going to have to worry about it too much. I may probably put a little bit of thread Loctite on them, but I would say they'll be good. I may end up using a bolt so that I can torque it down a little bit tighter. We're just going to have to see how it fits. Went ahead and crimped in all the inserts. Still going to do 2 more here, and then I'm actually going to end up drilling through this way and mounting the last 2 to the ridge that is where the bed floor spot welds. So that's where that's going to drill and bolt. So yeah, I should be able to stick up in there for tonight and at least see what it's going to look like, and that'll probably be it for tonight, I would say. Oh, that one insert is a little bit loose. I try to crimp that a little bit tighter. The rest of them turned out good though. So, got her bolted in. Still going to make a little filler piece where I decided to shorten it, but it does stick up enough just for the lid. Still got to punch the holes in the side for the cables and whatnot to go through, but yeah. Okay, last little bit of this video for the day. I had to make my patch for the bed floor, but it is in and cut, and there she is, in there, ready to go. Ta-da! That ought to work. So, second and potentially the last day I have on the F100. I'll have tomorrow as well, but I'm going to have a customer's truck in here, so I'm going to be limited on space. I guess I'll have tomorrow and Friday if things really roll over, but I'd really like to get started on his truck if it's in here. So, Wednesday morning, I think. I don't know what day it is. I got the battery box done, which I pretty much was showing last night, but I'll reiterate. So here's the lid, just 2 fasteners, plenty strong enough. 1/4 20 crimp-in inserts, welded in these for the lid to, attach to, and it actually ended up pretty damn nice. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. Got a little gap down here at the bottom of these 2 and these 2. I don't know what was going on, but no big deal. Tacked it along the bottom in a bunch of places. I'm going to try to get all this done because I need to put 2 more inserts over here. But I have to get a section of the bed done that I'll show you in just a second. And then I want to take seam seal all around this, up the side. Just smear it in, no big deal. Use my finger, smear it all over this stuff. Clean it out real well. And get it outside and get it painted. It and the lid. Get it all painted. I also got to put my battery in. Punch hole probably here and another one there. I'm going to punch some round holes using the little hydraulic punch, and I'm going to punch it big enough for the cables to feed through, but eventually I'm going to put a bulkhead connector there. That way the cable can come up, bolt to it on the outside, and then there will be short cables that bolt to the battery on the inside. That way the battery is completely secluded, it's completely airtight. I may punch a vent hole or something in the back so that the box doesn't, hold in heat or moisture or something away from the flow of the vehicle. That way no water or nothing collect. Maybe a little one right here, something. Maybe I'll put one on the lid. I'm not entirely sure yet, but that is all done. And right now I'm working on patching a section of the bed, because initially I cut this battery box way too big because it was going to be like a carry box / battery box, and it just didn't I just didn't like that idea in the end. So I'm getting this area cleaned up. I'm going to get this welded in. Don't know if I'm going to completely weld this in. I may just do some patch weld, you know, inch, grind it down. But I'll probably end up welding it all the way in. That's just what I do. So probably weld it all the way in, then grind it all down and whatnot. Try to smoothen it out. Not entirely sure yet. I mean, I'm going to end up cutting this whole bed out eventually anyway, and probably only using the bed sides. But I still don't want them to look bad in the meantime. So we'll see. We'll see. I guess I'll start welding, and I have gotten it cleaned up the best I can, but this is also 60-year-old metal, and if I start welding and it just is not going my way, I'll just do 1-inch beads all the way around, and that will be good enough. Because if it starts welding like absolute garbage, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to weld the whole thing in just for it to be a pain in the butt and still not look good once it's ground down. So I'll post along the way. Okay, I think this thing's actually ready for paint. Got the holes punched. Got to go through and deburr them real fast. Not entirely sure what I'm going to put right there for now to keep from cutting the battery cables. I may end up wrapping them in some loom or something, just temporarily, just to keep that. Like I said, I'm going to deburr it, and the edge itself is not bad where the tool goes through, but probably ought to put something on it. But yeah, that will work. That'll leave me enough room for the bulkhead connectors, and then I can go back and hopefully, I probably ought to test fit this in the truck one more time. I think those are going to be fine. I moved them down enough. I know the lid's going to clear. I know they'll be below the bed floor, yada yada. If I have to just cut this out once I get those fittings and make a piece that, you know, screws in there or something, that's what I'll do. No big deal. But yeah, I'm going to get this all blown out, deburred. I'm going to test fit it one more time, and then I'm going to spray it with some, actually I need to seam seal it. Then I will paint it later today. Okay, so battery box is outside being painted. Got the floor all patched in right there. I did not spend a extreme amount of time making that look pretty because, I mean, that's what I'm patching. So it's welded in. It's ground down. Moving on. I'm not going to do this out of perforated steel, but I had a section of perforated steel, and it's only about 20 gauge, so it's really easy to bend. And I was actually able to see through it, which made it super easy to work with. So I went ahead and bent up a piece. Now that I have a piece bent up, I can use it as a template. And I'm going to start I wanted to do this piece. I'm going to have to do it in 2 sections and meet in the middle. And I really wanted to do this nice thing where I made this and I rolled some cool beads in it and stuff like that. But my brake is only 24 inches and my bead roller, I think, only maybe 18 inches. So I would get it all mapped out, and then I would have this big area where I can't do anything. So as much as I hate to say it, I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything bead roll wise. I'm not sure. Maybe I can put some in some clever places, but right there would be a nice place for one. But I wouldn't be able to turn the panel around in the bead roller. So what I'm going to do is start putting this together. And once I get the piece cut out, I'll know exactly what I've got to work with, and maybe by some chance I can roll something into it somewhere. But I'm also not going to overly complicate it and make it something that is more difficult than it should be. That being said, I think I'm going to end up coming back in, because I would prefer for the panel to just be fairly easily, I'd like to just be able to unbolt it, something about it, just serviceability to the fuel pump and fuel lines, filter, sending unit, rear end. I mean, it's just nice to be able to pull it off. I like it. I like the idea of being able to remove it. So I'm probably going to use some more crimp-in inserts and make a couple of little tabs every so often, and make it to where it just bolts in. But yeah, got a template, so I at least have something to start with. So I've got a couple of panels made up. Just got them, not free formed, but got them made up. I got 90s on the end. So now that I've got the gap, because my brake is not quite wide enough, and neither is the shear, I couldn't do one piece. I had to do two. And the bed is in between the fender wells is 4 foot 1 inch. So there's roughly a 1 inch gap down the middle. So other than that, I don't mind that. But what I'm going to end up doing is I have another piece I'm going to bend and make go over the middle. And I'm probably going to use some of the stainless and bolt it. And I think that'll look good. I think that, it'll just be something kind of different, something unique, But then once I get it bolted together the right width, get it all straight all the way across, I'm going to set it back in the bed, sort of get it squared up. I got to trim a little section of the bed right there, and then along the front, I'm going to take and cut a section out of the front, and it'll drop down. This will drop down and be level, and then I'll make a couple of pieces. I'll go maybe 4 on each side or something, and then I'll probably end up doing 2 in the top of each of the C-notch sections to hold it down. And that will probably be it. I think that'll be good for now. And I think it'll look pretty good once it's done. It's, I didn't want to have to make a giant piece. I thought about coming like all the way up and just making one big piece that goes across, but if I ever wanted to haul something minor, never anything major, but if I ever wanted to put something in the bed, I didn't want it to be completely unusable. So I think that's pretty good, though. I think that's going to work really well for now. So pretty happy with that. Okay, so I have got all my shapes made. I'm sitting down in there where I want to on the back. Got a couple points here, one there and one there. I'll probably bolt it there and there. Now I've got to come through and scribe a line up here and trim out the bed. It don't need to go much, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so. But that, get that pushed in and setting down level where I want it. And then I can start making some. I think I'll do 2 there, 2 there, 2 over there, 2 over there. And then I might come up here in top of the frame rail and do 2. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do anything. I really need to do something, some sort of a little bracket or something that comes down and bolts. Something I can just put in the brake and make and bolt here and then come down and bolt. Something like that. Not entirely sure, but I put it together in the middle like that just because I like the look of the fasteners. I just like I'm not 100% sold on it, but I can take it back out and I can weld that piece into it if I need to. So that's no big deal. I can take that out if I decide to change the shape of the step or something. I can pull that back out and weld it up. But I've got plans for taking the whole bed floor out and whatnot. So I just, I don't want to say it's temporary, but it's easy to change my mind on, which I like. So that's kind of the main focal point for just using fasteners. to put, just quarter 20 and washers and lock nuts to hold everything together. The same with, bolting it in on the sides. So I just like the idea of being able to change my mind and not have to cut something out, just rather unbolt it. So, and it'll all be painted black, just like this, just like the battery box. I think that'll look pretty decent once it's all painted up. So I'm happy with it. Went ahead and put the battery box in. Got it bolted down and went ahead and just put the lid on. Little floor patch, but not too bad. Gonna work on getting this fastened down and then get it out and get it painted. I would say I'll be done tomorrow. Gonna work on getting it out, painted, and put back in. I really need a couple of center fasteners, and I'm just not 100% decided on how I want to fasten it in the middle yet. Just there and keep it from, up and down, catching wind and stuff. I'm just not sure yet. I come up with a couple of different ideas and did not like a single one of them. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Oh, there you go. Fastened down, painted. Got a couple of those inserts. My God, they fought me hard today. Those little crimp in ones. You get them off just the tiniest little bit and nothing wants to line up. But that ought to work. That kind of completes the inside of this, old crappy rusted out bed. So it's, it's better. At least it has a complete look now, minus the lid being off the battery box. But at least it, I would very much love to make that out of one piece. And I think I'm going to change the shape of it. But it doesn't look bad. It's not the worst looking for now. So I can deal with it for a while. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Not a whole lot, but just some fabrication work and trying to, tidy up loose ends and things like that, put things together. And that battery box I dreaded for months. I dreaded building that battery box. I don't know why. I think because I had initially, I put it there thinking, oh, it was going to be cool. And then I put it there and I was like, I wish I hadn't put it there. But I already had a giant hole cut. I already had hundreds of dollars worth of cables ran and routed and wiring and all of that stuff. So that's where it stayed. And ultimately, I think that's probably the better spot since there's no room under the hood anymore. So yeah, thanks for watching.